everybody, Fulza here. Today, I'll be going over the changes to crit Garen since last season. The first major change was Gale Force's cooldown being increased from 90 to 110 seconds. This is about a year old now, but I still thought it was important to mention as this is the reason why I now run Ingenious Hunter in every rune page. It reduces your Gale Force cooldown greatly, even when it is not fully stacked, and in my opinion, is now a necessity after the cooldown increase. The other changes include mostly small AD buffs to his items, but notably, IE and Navori now activate at 40% crit rather than 60% crit. Moral Reminder also went through a big change, and I think it's in a good spot now. It's just a better LDR when the enemy team isn't tanky enough to proc the Giant Slayer passive, and LDR was already a must-build item. Before going over the build changes, we will discuss the rune changes. I now cycle through 3 rune pages depending on the matchup. The bread and butter page is still first strike, but rather than secondary resolve with demolish and conditioning, I now take Ingenious Hunter and either Cheap Shot or Sudden Impact. To decide between Cheap Shot and Sudden Impact, I did a little test. At level 11, with Gale Force and full combo, Sudden Impact will do about 70 damage, and at that point Cheap Shot will do 30, but you can proc Cheap Shot in lane to make your time a little bit easier. Honestly, in this tree, just pick whatever you'd prefer besides Ingenious, it shouldn't matter too much. For alternate rune pages, I use this Conqueror page in the champions where you need the extra boost in those volatile matchups to guarantee you win lane, like Jax or Riven. I also use the Conqueror page in the tanks like Ornn, Cho'Gath, Zac, or Sion. In the champs like Olaf, Nasus, or Trundle, where you need to get out of their potent slows, I prefer taking this Phase Rush page to make the game much easier to play. When I feel like I need second wind to make it through lane, like if I'm playing mid into something poke heavy like an Anivia or a Azir, I take either Electrocute or Predator in order to still be able to take Ingenious Hunter. I'm pretty sure Predator is always just better, especially considering it also gets its cooldown reduced by Ingenious, but I sometimes take Electrocute when I feel like it. If you have any questions about what rune page to take into a certain champion, or what my general strategy is for any matchup, leave a comment below. Moving on to items, I normally just go whatever I feel like, because if you just spam crit items, it will usually work out for you. But this time, I decided to go into Practice Tool and test for myself what is actually best. After Gale Force, you have 2 options. You can either build Navori or IE. Navori is always better at 6 items because while its EQ damage is 100 less than IE's, your ult will do 20% more true damage, the build path is better, and because of the base ability haste and cooldown reduction on auto attack. However, at 2 items, an IE spin ranges in damage from 1600 to 3000, averaging 2300 damage, while a Navori spin ranges from 1800 to 2300, averaging 2050 damage. So, on average, your E will hit for 250 more damage than Navori if you take IE, but you also have the added benefit of sometimes getting crazy crit luck. Personally, I almost always go IE second because I like maxing out my luck stat when I play Oblivion. If you do choose IE, I advise sacrificing your firstborn to RNGesus just to give yourself that best chance of rolling those juicy crits. Do remember though, at 6 items Navori is strictly better, so if you do have the gold for it when full build, swap IE out for Navori. For items after Gale Force, IE/Navori, and Berserkers, we will always be taking either LDR or Moral Reminder depending on whether or not the enemy team has a good amount of healing. You can build this later if the enemy team doesn't build any armor early, but it will be one of our final 6 items. For the last 2 slots, I tested every combination of Storm Razor, RFC, Phantom Dancer, Essence Reaver, and Collector against a target dummy with 100 armor and magic resist. Phantom Dancer is the worst item by far, so I'm not sure why people on the r/Garen main subreddit are posting that it's the perfect replacement for Mortal Reminder when it's literally worse than RFC, which is cheaper and gives extra Q range. As for the rest of the combinations, I found 4 viable options: Storm Razor plus Essence Reaver, Storm Razor plus Collector, RFC plus Collector, and Essence Reaver plus Collector. The Essence Reaver plus Collector and Storm Razor plus Essence Reaver variants have the biggest Q damage for the most initial burst, with the Storm Razor variant doing very slightly less damage, but also coming with the added slow. The RFC plus Collector variant does the second most damage and comes with the extra speed from RFC, and the Storm Razor plus Collector variant does the most damage and comes with the slow as well. The Q plus E combo for these 4 variants are all within 200 damage, while other variants perform much worse. So pick any of these 4 and you should be okay. As for the playstyle, not much has changed. You still have to utilize bushes and vision to get leads and take objectives, and you are basically useless in front to back fights without ult or gale force. So make sure that if an objective is spawning, you are looking for a deep flank in the enemy jungle to either get a pick before the objective spawns, or easy access to their backline from behind when the fight does break out. That's all for this video. I'll be posting more vision-based guides soon, like a more in-depth guide on abusing vision around objectives, how to use vision pockets, etc. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in the comments, on Discord, Reddit, or Twitch. Have a good night, everybody.